Hello friends, it is time for a floor flow. You'll notice I have down a blanket. That is so I can slip and slide against the surface of my mat. Also gives you a little bit of warmth, a little extra layer of comfort, right? All of those things. So go ahead and lower yourself down, come onto your back. And for just a couple of moments, come into whatever Shavasana version of Shavasana feels good in your body. Give me a second, I gotta contend with my microphone cord. And as you lay down into that posture and you get settled in, I want you to take note of your back body against the floor, particularly from the back of the skull down to the pelvis, right? So I want you to notice both, both from right to left. If you notice that you're tilting to the right a little bit more, if one side feels heavier or lighter, or just noticing from right to left if the body feels different. And I like to point out that can be very different in the pelvis than it is in, say, the shoulders or the skull, right? If you have a little bit of a right hip moves back further than the left situation, that would make your left shoulder heavier potentially, right? So just be open to that. And in addition to the right-left situation, you're also noticing the curvature of the spine. I fully yawned suddenly. Well, I did the video for the restorative pose before this one, which probably wasn't my most brilliant move because now I'm super chill and relaxed. So as you notice the curves, right, your neck curve and your low back curve, they usually come up away from the floor, not in every body, but that's the way the human skeleton is often made, right? And then we also have the other curves, which are the upper back and the pelvis, and those would curve down towards the ground. And then go ahead and extend your legs out to straight if they're not already. We're all gonna meet here. Hands can just stay exactly where they are, the arms. Whew. You're gonna pull your right heel up towards the pubic bone, letting the right leg go wide. I don't go very far with that. I don't even make it to my knee, right? And I push down. I don't want you to engage, let me say that better. I want you to engage as few muscles in the right hip as possible when you go to do that motion. So there's a point where if I want to get that heel closer up to my pubic bone, I really turn on a bunch of muscles to make it happen. Go before that happens. And you're just working on the right side, right? Just pulling that heel up. You can add breath to it and exhale, push that heel down. If you're working on an opposite breath, no worries. That's awesome. And do that about, 3, maybe 4 more times, depending on your breath. You can tell if you're in a fast moving kind of world, this would be a brilliant one for you, but I'm gonna ask you to slow down a lot, right? Which you might not be able to do very well. And then the next time that leg moves out to straight, you're gonna pause for a moment. And I want you to now just pay attention to the lower body, the right side, then pay attention to the left side. And use it as like a point of contrast, right? And then go ahead and let that left heel start to slide up. That'll be on an inhale. And exhale, left heel slides down. Take the whole breath to do that. Again, you're not in a hurry, A. B, when we cultivate this slower breath, chances are greater that we will make a connection to activating the parasympathetic, the rest and digest. I do like to point out, the stress response, the fight, flight, or freeze, aka the sympathetic system, being activated, that gets a really bad rep. We have 2 systems for a reason. They're both really beautiful systems, and they serve very specific purposes in our body. You're still doing the left leg, by the way. It's just that many of us now spend so much time in the stress response. Next time your left leg extends out, go ahead and leave it out. that it's not a healthy balance. It's not what we call homeostasis in the body. And for those of us who come from trauma or just get overwhelmed a lot, that could be capital T or a bunch of little t traumas, right? Just being overwhelmed is all trauma means, right? And you're having a hard time processing what's happening, the experience. If that happens frequently to you, your nervous system can become dysregulated, where the only thing you know is being in stress response and constantly going into fight, flight, or freeze, and adrenaline moving through the body, right? It becomes a habitual thing within the body. So this work, restorative yoga, things like that, they help you re-regulate your nervous system. Notice the left side compared to the right. Hopefully you've been doing that a little bit as well. And now you're going to go ahead and you're going to pull that right heel back, but put the sole of the foot down and bring the knee up. So coming into knee bent foot on the ground that way. Left leg swings out, and then we put the foot down and we bring that up. Now walk your feet a little wider than the hips, no wider than the mat. TD arms out. Inhale with an exhale, move towards windshield wiper. Inhale is going to bring you up. And exhale to the left. Inhale up, leave the head out of it for right now. Exhale to the right. Notice what's happening in your lower body and the hips, right? Maybe you even feel it in your mid-back or whatever that might be. Find your own pace now. Now maybe adding the head in. How does that change the experience for you? Try to stay away from good or bad, right or wrong. Try not to be judgmental. Simply witness. Observe the experience. And now we're going to add in that swing that I often bring in, right? So the next time that your knees go to the right, whenever that happens, maybe the left knee swings up towards the right armpit. I'm demonstrating if you need it, right? It comes back down and up, knees come up, and then the knees will go over to the left and the right knee might swing up a little bit. Comes back down to the ground, knees come up, etc., right? So now you have a potential new pattern. If it feels better to just leave your feet on the ground the whole time and feel the earth underneath your feet, right? It's more grounding, I'll tell you that. Or maybe your low back feels like this is too much, right? Whatever the reason being, if the other one feels better, stay with it. If it feels better to leave your head still today, stay with it, right? I try to help you find that deep listening. You're going to come back to center when you feel like you're complete. Go into your initial resting pose. So even if you feel like you could extend the legs now, but you started with your feet on the ground, please go back to that first initial pose just so you can tune into the body and notice if anything is starting to shift, weight from right to left, the curves of the spine, etc. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to roll over onto our bellies. So when you do that, if I may suggest that you try not to let your head lift off of the ground, or as little as possible, right? We're going to have to do a little bit of moving, and you try to just be really connected to the earth. I'm going to take my glasses off briefly, and I'm going to have to watch my microphone here. So pardon me if I sound a little muffled right now. I'm going to try to figure it out in a second. I'm in crocodile, a version of it anyway, the one where my hands are stacked. My elbows are wide. My forehead's down on the back of my hands. And I'm just going to take a couple of moments and just breathe into my back body, right? Especially my low back with my belly on the ground. When I inhale, my low back is going to expand. And then from there, we're going to move on the breath. Every time you inhale, I want you to push your feet down, right? Your thighs gently lift a little bit. Your arms push down, your hands push down, and your upper body lifts up into a version of low cobra. I'm demonstrating if you need it. Exhaling and coming down. Use the whole breath. Inhale, use the whole breath. Tone the belly up so you keep the low back protected. Don't come too high. Exhaling down. Find your own rhythm and move in and out of this a couple of times. Keep everything I've said so far But then we're going to add a couple of pieces here for just a little bit more awareness in the upper back. Shoulder blades move a little together and a little down. A little, not a lot, right? So when you come up, see if you can't find those two movements of the shoulder blades, right? A little in and a little down to help lift the chest. Belly still tones, feet still push down, etc. And then the last piece that may or may not feel right for you is when you come up, you're going to traction your hands back to your belly forward to your hands. Right? So it's a strengthening action. It starts to engage some of the abdominals. Helps keep that low back long. Don't be in a rush. It's not about how many reps you get in. And please, hopefully, I mean, I still go there every once in a while, but, sometimes we even have this yoga as a checklist, right? A box next to it. And so it's like, oh, I'm going to do 20 minutes of yoga. Okay, did it, got it, right? Try to be here for the 20 minutes that you're here, friends. And then the next time you come up, you're going to stay up. You're going to pause, keep all of that support system, hands tractioning to belly, belly tractioning to hands, feet pushing down, belly toning up, shoulder blades a little together and down, reaching through the crown of the head. Inhale and exhale, come down. Pause. Okay, so now we're going to work with the lower body a little bit. Hopefully you don't have to lift your head to look at me, but if you do, just bring it down right away again so you don't hurt your neck, okay? So it's the same thing we just did, but from a different relationship to gravity. So you're going to let your right knee slide out to the right, right? That heel comes up to the pubic bone. And then you're going to slide it back down. And slide it out, right? Inhale maybe on the slide out and exhale as you slide the leg back down. Try to stay with just the right side for now. And my leg, once I start this, my right leg doesn't go back to the original position exactly when I slide down. And that's okay. You don't have to fidget too much with that, right? We'll bring it back down and in a little bit. Right now, just let it be that sliding motion. More is not more in this, right? If you get your knee up really high, that doesn't make this better for you or anything like that. The next time the knee is out to the right, you're going to pause there. And as you pause there, right, just let your right hip get heavy. Imagine that I put a sandbag, however many pounds you think would be appropriate, and just let that right hip get nice and heavy. One more breath from there. And now you're going to tee your arms out to the side. And I want you to roll gently. How do I say this the best? Put your right hand next to your right shoulder, actually. Tee your left arm out. And then you're going to bend your left knee, and you're going to bring it up to where your right knee is. So now I'm in a twist, and I'm in my left upper shoulder, right? I'm bringing my head back down to the ground. I'm trying to stay on my mic, but, as you can tell, this might be a difficult posture to find that. You might lengthen the right arm out, but you might just keep the hand on the floor. I'm going to keep the hand on the floor today, but I'm going to let myself soften just a little bit, right? You get to regulate that left shoulder depth. What do I mean by that? If my body moves down towards the floor, my right shoulder specifically, I'm in it a little less stretch-wise. If I push down and I lift the right shoulder up, I go into it a little deeper. This is a gentle class that we're trying to do. Please be gentle with your body. Don't try to force it into something. So I'm going to find my happy medium where I feel a little bit of a stretch, but not too much. And just say, hello, left shoulder. And then to come out of this, we're going to go ahead and we're going to bring that left leg down first and then the right leg. Find crocodile. Recalibrate the legs. I like to curl my toes under and kind of lift my thighs in a little bit and wiggle until I find it. And then pause and take a breath into your low back. Now, same thing on the other side. So that left knee is going to slide out to the left. Don't worry about getting it high or anything, and then slide it back down. And if it doesn't slide all the way back to the original position, don't be too nitpicky about that, right?
Just let it kind of freeform slide. Inhale will bring you up, and exhale will bring you down. The thing I love about the floor work, there are like 100 things I love about the floor work, but one of them is, right, I tend to close my eyes, and when it's a repetitive motion, I can really just start to tune in to my body and just be very present, especially if I've been busy or doing checklists or things like that. There's something about this practice for me that allows that. The next time that left knee goes out to the side, you're going to pause and just leave it there for a second. So for the first part, right, imagine me putting a sandbag, whatever weight you think would be appropriate, on the left hip, and letting that left hip just soften down and in. I'm going to reach the right arm out to the side, tee it out, left hand underneath the elbow-ish, and then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to roll. Pardon me, I got to move my mic pack. I'm going to roll and bend that right knee, bringing that right knee underneath the left. I bring my head back down. I leave my right arm teed out. And then I can tee my left arm out, or I can use it to regulate, right? If I let my left shoulder come closer to the earth, it's a little less intense in my right shoulder stretch. If I push down a little bit and work that back, it tends to be a little more intense. So find your place where it's not too intense, right? We want to be able to soften here. That's part of today's purpose. And if you're so far in that the muscles can't soften, well, I could go on a whole diatribe about that. Are you really benefiting yourself all that much if the body's on guard to try to protect you? And then we're going to actually come onto our backs again. But here's my request. Again, try to keep yourself as connected to the ground and maybe that head. So I'm going to move my legs a little bit and try to swing my right hand, kind of slide it under me, rolling onto the shoulder, and then, recalibrate myself on my mat and come into that very original position, the blueprint pose, I sometimes call it. And from your blueprint pose, notice if your body has shifted and changed at all. A, from right to left, and B, in the curvature of the spine, curvatures of the spine. Let's take about 5 breaths here. Inhale. You don't have to match me. And exhale. We're going to add slight pauses in for the next 4. Inhale. Pause. Exhale. Pause. Inhale. Pause. Exhale. Pause. Here's 4. Inhale. Pause. Exhale. Pause. Last one. Inhale. Pause. Exhale. Pause. Now, if it feels like you would like to make any little movements in the body before we start to come up. Oh, geez Louise. Those movements can be anything. Remember that, right? I guess my one request would be don't do like crazy strong moves right now. Try to keep the body relaxed, since that was the purpose of today, right? I mean, do it anytime. It's so seldom that we do relax, many of us. Find yourself in an upright posture, whatever one is feeling good in your body today. Bring your hands together in front of your chest. Bow your
your head in on the exhale. And just take a moment of gratitude. You gave yourself this space and time. Namaste. And I've probably said it, you probably know, but the reason I'm going towards some of these restorative and slower practices is because this time of year we tend to overbook ourselves and get really busy, and we're trying to get the presents, and we're trying to do the work Christmas party plus the this plus the that. And I know it's different with COVID, but many people I've talked to are still feeling like they're kind of overscheduled, even in their own projects, in their own homes and such. So, you know, take the time, take care of yourself. It's worth it. You're worth it. Love you.